What if I told you they thought it wouldn't be done? That the country would rejoice over one swing of the bat. That the end of one career would continue another. That no one will be there to greet him. What if I told you he just wanted to help his team? That the greatest home run of all time came at a cost. That the man who couldn't hit finally did. What if I told you that he made it all possible? After spending 2014 platooning in their outfield, the New York Mets were in desperate search of a reliable corner outfielder. There were a lot of solid players on the market, but one stuck out in particular, and that was Michael Cuddyer. Cuddyer was an established veteran, spending the first 11 years of his career in Minnesota, picking up an All-Star nod there in 2011 and an induction into the Twins Hall of Fame in 2017. He signed a 3-year deal with the Colorado Rockies entering 2012 and left Minnesota for the first time in his career. He had the best season of his career in 2013 for the Rockies, leading the National League in hitting to pick up his second All-Star nod and his first career Silver Slugger award. Injuries ate up a good chunk of 2014 for Cuddyer, limiting him to just 49 games, but he still hit to the tune of a .322 average and a .955 OPS as he entered free agency once again. The New York Mets liked what they saw in Cuddyer, signing him to a 2-year, $21 million contract, and backloaded that contract to pay him $8.5 million for his first year and $12.5 million for his second year in Queens. Injuries continued to plague the now 36-year-old Cuddyer in his first season as a Met, as he hit to a career-low .699 OPS over 117 games. By the end of his first year as a Met, he lost his starting role and was appearing more as a pinch hitter rather than the everyday outfielder the Mets thought they were getting. After the Mets lost to the Royals in the 2015 World Series, Michael Cuddyer was faced with a difficult decision. He'd been plagued by injuries during the last couple years of his career, and he didn't know if he wanted to play baseball anymore. He still had a year left on his contract, with a sweet $12.5 million still left on it. Now, I know Mets fans are usually skeptical when it comes to contracts, thanks mainly to Bobby Bonilla, but this one actually worked out in their favor. All contracts in Major League Baseball are guaranteed, but if a player voluntarily retires while still under contract, then that money goes back into the team. It takes a really strong person to walk away from a multi-million-dollar contract like Cuddyer did, but mentally and physically he said he was done with baseball. He was upset that he couldn't compete at the level in which he wanted to compete at, and decided to retire rather than just chase a paycheck. He had hoped that the money freed up in his contract would help the Mets chase their World Series that they were so close to a year prior. The Mets negotiated a buyout with Cuddyer, in which they paid him between $2 and $3 million. The official amount was never disclosed, but on the high end, it freed up about $10.5 million extra dollars for the Mets to use in free agency. They had already been pretty active in the 2015 offseason, signing Asdrubal Cabrera to a 2-year, $18.5 million deal on December 11th, a day before Cuddyer officially announced his retirement in a Players Tribune article on the 12th. Now, the Mets' main target for free agency was to re-sign Yoenis Cespedes, which they eventually did a month later in January to the tune of a 3-year, $75 million deal. But they still had a few other transactions they needed to make. The Mets' first move after Cuddier's retirement was to re-sign Buddy Carlisle to a minor league deal. Carlisle had bounced around the majors and minor leagues since being drafted in 1996, and he spent the past 2 seasons with the Mets, so a re-signing wasn't really that shocking or expensive. The day after bringing back Carlisle, the Mets wanted to bolster their major league bullpen and brought back Loggy legend Jerry Blevins on a 1-year, $4 million deal. Of the possible $10.5 million that the Mets had saved on Cuddyer's contract earlier that week, they had about $7 million left over, and they knew exactly who they wanted to spend it on. Bartolo Colon had spent the past 2 seasons playing for the Mets and instantly became a fan favorite. His jolly demeanor and larger-than-life personality made him a favorite of not only Mets fans, but of baseball fans all around the league. Colon was entering his age 43 season in 2016 and was coming off a 14-win, 195-inning season for the Mets during their improbable World Series run. It's safe to say the Big Sexy had a lot left in the tank. Less than a week after Cuddier's retirement, the Mets locked up Colon on a 1-year, $7.25 million contract to have him pitch in Queens for 2016, spending nearly all the money they had gotten back after Cuddier's retirement. Fans were not only excited to have Colon back on the mound, but also back in the box. His antics at the plate had become comical over the past few seasons, with Colon flailing at the ball and his helmet routinely falling off. His violent swing resulted in a lot of hard contact if he ever connected with the ball, and when he did, it was a joy to watch him run the bases. The Mets had traveled to San Diego to begin a West Coast road trip in early May of 2016, and Colon was scheduled to pitch the Saturday evening game opposed James Shield. hits. Fellow free agent signing Yoenis Cespedes had gone deep earlier in that game to give the Mets an early lead, and Colon came up with 2 outs and a man on second on the top of the second inning, searching for his first hit of the year. I'm pretty sure you know what happens next.
Colon looking for his first hit of the year. He drives one, deep left field. Back goes Upton, back near the wall. It's out of here! Bartolo has done it!
This was Colon's first and only career home run in the major leagues. This home run set a major league record for the oldest player to hit his first career home run at 42 years, 349 days, the second quirky major league record that Colon owns, the other being the most consecutive strikes thrown, when he routed off an incredible 38 straight while with the Athletics. A couple of fun facts about Michael Cuddyer and Bartolo Colon. Cuddyer got drafted, played 4 seasons in the minor leagues, made his major league debut, played 15 years in the major leagues, and retired, all during Colon's Major League Baseball career. Bartolo Colon made his major league debut on April 4th, 1997, and Michael Cuddyer was drafted on June 2nd, 1997. Cuddyer retired on December 12th, 2015, and I don't think Bartolo ever officially retired, but his final MLB game was on September 22nd, 2018. The two faced off 13 times during their career, with Cuddyer collecting 4 hits, including a home run, 4 ribbies, and Colon tallying 1 strikeout. Now, it's tough to pinpoint just exactly how the Mets spent that $10 million they got back, but the math and timing of Jerry Blevins and Bartolo Colon signings work out too perfectly. If they were on the fence about either of these players, Cuddyer retiring certainly persuaded them into inking them back for the 2016 season. So, every time you think of Bartolo Colon and his majestic home run, be sure to think of and thank Michael Cuddyer for freeing up that extra money to sign him.